Okay, so recently I played Final Fantasy Type-0 and I must admit it was a unique experience for me, at least when it comes to this series. First things first, I want to give a shout out to Majority for including a copy of this game in the package he sent to my husband, the completionist. Thanks so much, man. We loved all the goodies, and the inclusion of this game was a great delight because it's one that I've been interested in for a while. However, we've only gotten our PS4 in December 2016, so I did not have much of a reason to buy it on release date. Being a veteran of the Final Fantasy series, the first hour of Type-0 was a bit of a shock to my system. I was already aware of its rating and reputation, but it gets more real when you experience it firsthand. Overall, this game is great, but it's not without its flaws, but I'll get to those in a bit. Final Fantasy Type-0 is dark and oh so violent, and you can tell these were qualities that Square have always wanted to put in their flagship series for a while. But I guess issues with the ratings and the image of the series was something that had to be considered. Final Fantasy 15 was originally supposed to be much darker than what it is now, but Square foolishly believed that it would be too much for their audience. And that is something I have to say boo to. Dark and violent games is something I'm not new to, however, when you see that kind of material in a Final Fantasy game, I'll admit it can be a little jarring to the audience considering what we're used to seeing in this series. Type-0 is rated for adults and it treats its audience the same way, which is something I really appreciate in a game. In previous Final Fantasies, death is often featured, anyone from a main character to an NPC or even entire villages. The reaction was often one of brief mourning or words of comfort. Warriors see dying in battle as a form of honor and many accept their fate. Some even give the stereotypical motivational speech to encourage the other characters to move on. Death, however, in Type-0 is more real when compared to other games in the series. People are not being turned into wisps of light to be sent to the fire plane like they do in Final Fantasy X. They lie wounded and express their fears, crying that they don't want to die. The story genre is one of my favorites, political warfare, and Type-0 reminded me a little bit of the Suikoden series. You have different countries warring with each other, and there are even warlike skirmishes you had to participate in to defend and liberate areas of your territory. Combat is action-based, which is something I'm no stranger to. I'm very adaptable to different RPG combat styles. For someone who's mastered Parasite 2's absurd tank control system, I guess I'd have to be. And while I do prefer turn-based battle systems, I really do enjoy real-time combat, providing it's done well, and Type-0 achieves this. It's fast-paced, but you have a lot of variety, having up to 14 characters at your command, and the long-range weapons have auto-lock. So take that, episode Prompto, and your important weapons can only be manually aimed bullshit. I found the characters to be quite likable. You would think having a roster of characters this large would be a hindrance to their development, and in a way it does, and that takes me to my main gripe with this game, which is the pacing. This game is short, like really short for an RPG. Without the grinding, Type-0 can be beaten about 15 to 20 hours, maybe less, which is really disappointing given the cast it has to work with. The large number of playable characters makes sense to me because there are a class of cadets who train and fight together. They view each other as family, so the emotional attachment they have to each other can have a great impact on the player depending on the situation, which is why Type-0 could have been so much more than it currently is. If you include more backstory on the characters and remove the rushed pacing of the plot, this game could have been 30 hours plus without the side quests. I understand that a second playthrough will unveil more story, but to me that feels like a cheap attempt to add replay value to a game that should have had the additional story features in the main playthrough in the first place. Next, I want to talk about the music, because it is great. Like, awesomely great. If you like an orchestra accompanied with an epic choir, this soundtrack will be a treat. Takahiro Ishimoto is more known for the rock style he used in Crisis Core, but the sound of war can be heard all over this soundtrack, and it really gets your blood pumping when you're on a mission or fighting a boss. So yeah, this is a soundtrack I will be adding to my collection in the future, and is now one of my favorites. As you can tell, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy Type-0. While it is unfortunate Square did not take full advantage of the remake's potential, I still recommend it to any Final Fantasy fan. Just brace yourself for all the feels, because there will be plenty of them. This is Chippy Neko, signing out. chocobo.